when you're at least Cyberpunk aside, because that was just some next shit. But for the most part, look, when you put a game in, it shouldn't be hindered by performance anymore. Which is why, like GTA, which I don't, you guys spoke about that yet. It makes no sense why GTA has these issues. It's like this is like a 13-year-old game, at least in the case of.
Wait. What GTA are you talking about?
GTA 3.
You talking about the definitive
The
edition?
remastered. Yeah.
It is 20 years old. I just wanted to put that out there.
GTA 3 is 20 years old? God damn, bro.
2002. I just wanted to be clear. 2001
you're right.
released.
2000.
Final Fantasy 8 was PS1, and the remaster looks better than that shit. I don't want to hear excuses.
Do you? Okay, Jeremy, do you have the game?
No, I just watched video.
All right,
I'm not buying that shit.
Shut it up. Please shut it up.
You talk shit about games you don't play all the time.
I'm going to explain to you. Actually,
I digress.
I better do it now.
I mean, if you want to just go into because we've already been on the first topic for an hour, so shit.
Okay. We're going to the next topic now. But before we move on to the next topic, I totally forgot about this, yo. Just based off of this one thing makes it absolutely worth it. Fucking noise. I said it. This shit quiet as fuck, man. That Pro and that PS4, I couldn't fucking do broadcast streams ever, man. It was fucking embarrassing, man. It was embarrassing. Like a badass kid you take to a supermarket and screaming and shit. I couldn't do any of that shit. Sitting there, I'm like, hey, it's your boy. The whole time. That's what it sounded like to me. Fuck. Oh my God, that shit was so loud, man. And I remember one time I had the quiet PS4s, right? And I had the shit lying down, and they had this one energy drink called Kickstarter. And I'm sitting there getting my footing right, adjusted my seat, and I kicked that shit over, and that shit spilled inside the PS4. All over the shit. I freaked the fuck out. I turned that shit off. I plugged the whole power out. Make sure that I drained that shit. And ever since then, that bitch was loud as a motherfucker. And then I got the Pro to stop that shit from happening. That shit was the more quiet ones, but it was still loud. This one, it was funny. People were talking about coil whine. I can't take this noise. This is ridiculous. Why do I hear that quiet hum when I put my ear up on the shell of the PS5? I shouldn't have to hear anything when I lay on my PS5 right now. It should be quiet. Shut your ass up. And moving completely into this fucking GTA remaster or definitive edition, right? I feel like the people that's on Twitter and any other social media is completely out of pocket with their complaints. I want you guys to realize something. People will sit there and talk about, when you redo a game, it's so lazy. Look how lazy it is. I can't believe it. I'm making a video right now as we speak, pointing out the discrepancies in between the two. To shut motherfuckers down, making it right now. But I will say this. No one fucking complained about the 17th Skyrim that did nothing but bump the resolution up and charge you $60. You get an extra grape, an apple. That's all they gave you. It looks the same fucking way. Maybe they put a little bit of higher resolution, the same models that are about 500 polygons per NPC. No one said a motherfucker, and it didn't run well either. But nobody said anything about that. But you know why?
Game's never run well.
Well, and nobody gave a fucking complaint. That's my point. You know why everybody's pissed off about this fucking game? It's because Rockstar didn't show you GTA 6. That's why. People are still salty about that shit. When they showed the trailer, you already knew what it was. We saw the ugly ass fucking NPCs in the trailer. Right in it. It was right there. We saw the environments. And all of a sudden, it's a shock that it doesn't look like a fucking remaster. Go on.
I was gonna say the thing is with Rockstar. Rockstar kind of gets away with a lot of shit that no one else kind of gets away with. Like it's like they really like got some fucking aura over them or some shit because
It's the Nintendo aura where you could just
yeah,
do whatever
it's like
you want.
Rockstar's
It's
done
a
all types
Bethesda
of
aura
stupid.
too.
Who?
But
The
no,
game don't
Bethesda's-
run. It looks like shit, but we love them because they made Skyrim. Kind of like
No, people.
the game
people
still
check,
don't work.
No. People check the fuck out of what do you call it? Fallout. Fallout.
Yeah.
They check the shit
Yeah,
out
like
of that game.
Fallout 76. Yeah,
What about
they got
4,
hammered on that.
3, Skyrim, fucking?
I'm talking. You saying that they're impervious, and they're not. They got checked. They got checked so badly that they had to make changes. Nintendo, on the other hand, we won't talk about that. But here's the thing, right? You know how long it took Demon Souls to be created? The Demon Souls that's on the PS5. You guys know how long that took? It took about 4 years. 4 years to redo all of the assets in a linear game. In a linear game, every GTA is an open world game that has assets that are 20 years old. It has so little detail, you have to make up the detail because it wasn't enough information. That's the biggest problem. Another thing is too, they have motion capture, right? For the cutscenes since GTA 3. And there are points of animations where you can move the polygons and make sure that the jaw is in line. You just can't slap a model and use the same coordinates for the animations, the animation rig. The whole model would get warped, so they can't deviate too much from that original source, or else they would have to do it all over again and find the actors and all other bullshit. And some of the actors don't like Rockstar as it is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that was a big problem. So as is in the game, they can't deviate too much from it. I don't think people realize how bad the NPCs look in all of the GTAs. And in terms of the art style, the fucking box, the jewel case, the DVD jewel case for GTA 3 was cartoon characters on the front. It was never realistic, ever. Where was this notion that I wanted to look realistic? No one said that shit. But going back to GTA 3, and this is in regard to the subject of nostalgia in general. You know, I don't think you knew. Like, people are laughing about, look at this character. Oh, you can go through a glass. You know what I'm saying? Which they patched out, by the way. There are a lot of stuff that's in this GTA, and it doesn't run well. Let me be fair. Some of the things that are very important, right? In terms of this remake, it's not the best remake. Not because of what you see, but because of what you play. It doesn't run at a stable 60 frames a second, and it doesn't run
unacceptable.
which is before you go on. And it doesn't run at 4K. Now, that is unacceptable. I will say that if you put the game at the 30 frames per second, which how many games? I mean, okay. If you put the games at 30 frames a second, there is no drops. Now, some of that shit could be patched out, you know what I'm saying, or patched and fixed, just like the whole window thing that they had. But this was a huge undertaking. You can't change the assets too much because then you have to redo all the animations. So you couldn't do that. So if they did leave it as these low polygon models, I want to say this and I'll let you talk. The amount of triangles it took to create the characters in this game was about 1,000 to 3,000 polygons. 3,000 being the main character, right? What we have been experiencing from PS3 onwards was 10,000 polygons plus. You just have to come up with details out of thin air. You know what I'm saying? And all these assets, they had to use AI algorithms to increase the texture work because it's too big of an undertaking. It's an open world game. And each time that they made an open world game in the PS2 era, they had to up the ante. fucking Vice City was double the size of GTA 3 or Liberty City, and then San Andreas was 5 times the size of Vice City, some shit like that. I mean, it would have taken 15 years to make, realistically.
But see, here's the thing,
I'm sorry.
The issue with that is
I wouldn't know. I never
that,
played the GTA games.
Is that with this remaster, no one asked for this. So that's the difference. It's one thing if people were clamoring for this and there was like this huge swell of fanfare saying, "Hey, I want to go play with GTA 3 and be Claude and go back." I mean, San Andreas is a little bit different because people haven't wanted to go back to that. But like, not even with Vice City so much, right? They didn't actually. No one asked for these games. So for them to give us a shoddy project when you have games like Alan Wake that granted it's not as old, but it's it's recent. Well, yeah, Alan Wake's like what, I think 2010, 2011. And you have like Crisis. Like again, these are games that are quite current, same model being remade, and they you see a noticeable improvement. Does the definitive edition of GTA look better? Yes. However, if you go back to look at their mobile games, which only came out like I think 2-3 years ago, you could tell that they were already trying to push in that direction of probably trying to remake these games. Not necessarily now, because I believe the original idea was to sell these games separately. I guess to like hold us over until some reveal for GTA 6. Who knows? But it's like you can't. Yeah, but it's like you can't just say it's difficult to get this done correctly, and we did the best we could, and you kind of have to just take what we give you. When the reality is, no one asked for this. So
you could.
Let me say this, and I'll turn it over to you. Is that so? In reality, you could have taken as long as you wanted to take to make a better product, because it's not like we weren't anticipating this, we weren't calling for it, so you more or less had all the time you wanted to get this game in better shape. I'll turn it over to you.
So let me ask you a question. What do you have the game?
Say again.
Do you have the game?
Now I have like on Game Share or whatever. I haven't even bothered because I'm still going from Galaxy to Guardians of the Galaxy, and
that's not to come at you to say that you gotta have the game and stuff like that, which I still strongly believe, regardless of what it is. Like for instance, Forza. Everyone want to talk about Forza. It was not that good, and they never touched it. I can't say anything about it. I can't say anything. I can't say anything about it because I didn't really play it. I mean, I can say yeah.
I was gonna say, to that argument, that's kind of that whole element of speaking from authority, as in have you experienced it for yourself? No, but none of us here have to put their hands on an open flame to tell you that it's hot. You can look at something and tell if it's quality or not. That's just based on experience.
This is right, but you don't know how. You don't know how.
Josh, do you like dicks in your mouth?
We're not. I'm sidestepping that whole conversation.
Have you ever tried it?
Stop it! You're not derailing my
Some
conversation.
Shit you just know.
Did you just say? Do you like dick?
No, he said dick.
Of course, Josh does.
So,
what you mean?
shut your pigly ass up.
I take highly offense to that. You making fun of my family, bro. Legit.
Anyway, to answer my question, I want to answer this question in the most purest sense, and we can joke around. I don't really give a fuck. But I will say this: you don't know of what they put into it just by looking at the videos. Like for instance, people could look at Gran Turismo and be like, "That shit look boring. That's a boring looking game." I mean, I get it. I mean, graphically it looks nice, but you're just driving around fucking track and you can't even go anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? And you could say that easily. Problem here is that when you do drive in GTA, you got to take a lot of things into consideration. The rain in this particular case, how the track is twisting and shit like that. You know, all sorts of things that you can't get the other things to it. So my question to you is, what is disappointing about, and I'm not saying it as if like it's rhetorical. What is disappointing, in your opinion, about GTA remaster?
The caricature of the characters. That's for one.
So the way that the characters look.
Something. Well, I mean, like I'm sure. Have you guys seen the memes? Of, like all the characters basically came out of like the salon. They got their nails done. Like all these things are like
There's some glitches. There's some glitches in there, and it doesn't look like that all the time. But I will say this though, compared to the original models, like anything was an improvement. Should it be better? Yeah.
But see but again,
right.
you're saying in comparison to the original models. Now, again, the original models is based on 20 years ago. Yeah. So we would expect some sort of improvement. But
I thought that you said you weren't expecting anything though.
No, I'm talking about in terms of like I was expecting.
I'll play.
Yeah, I was expecting like this shit be coming out. Like, damn, can we at least get a remake of like GTA London or some shit? But no, what I was saying is that to go back to your earlier point of like you would have to experience it to have a better understanding of your criticisms. I would agree for the most part, except most of us have played these games before. These aren't new games. These aren't wholly new experiences. This is something that I've done before and spent hours and hours, laboring over. So when I see it now, it's like, yeah, sure, it doesn't look as good as it did sure, it looks better than what it did 20 years ago, but for that time leap, I expect better.
Now you mentioned that you talk about Alan Wake and the other things. They added high resolution textures, right? And not it wasn't that much high resolution, so it wasn't that much work done. And it's a linear game. Both of them are. Well, no, it's not Crysis.
Well, no, Crysis 1 is I was gonna say
Crysis 1 was a little bit open, but the most work went into Crysis 2.
It has a greater degree of
right. Crysis 1 and Crysis 3 barely had any work done in those games. All they did is up the resolution. Crysis 2 was the only one that actually had work put into it. So they just basically ported it over, Crysis 1 and 3. You can't use those, but the assets were really good in general. You know what I'm saying? But when you take a game that's modern anyway and try to, it already has the modern stuff. There was no parallax occlusion mapping. There was no per pixel shaders. There was no shaders at all in the game.
Back in the day. Right, but that's not really the problem I have with the game. The problem I have with the game is the fact that we're 20 years removed from the original, and you're telling me you can't have a solid product. Why do I have to choose between fidelity and quality mode, performance mode on a game that's 20 years old? That shouldn't be.
But you wouldn't know something though. Let me tell you this. The only thing that quality and performance mode does is just unlocks the frame rate. It doesn't even do anything extra. That's all it is. If you want the game to be more stable, you put it in quality mode so you don't have to worry about fluctuating frames. So if it's performance and the way that the characters look, because you believe that the characters should be, should look better. It's weird because you know what? Back in the day, GTA used to, in my mind's eye, look realistic. You know what I mean? But when you look at it, these motherfuckers have big ass feet, catcher's mitts for hands. You know what I'm saying? And their bodies were segmented.
Right. That's like Super Mario World. Super Mario 64. But
that's what I'm saying. It's like if I think about it, back in the day, what would it look like today? Now there is some stuff online where you have the characters. Somebody took a lot of work into making CJ, Tommy, and Claude look really look like real fucking people, essentially. What I think is going on is that you could put all your fucking efforts in one character and make that shit look pristine. I guarantee you it took 6 months to make those characters. Every one of them. And they got 3 games to do and about 60 NPCs per game. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. I understand where everyone's coming from. But at the end of the day, it's a remaster. And I think the trailer was indicative of what you would get in the in the final game. You saw Vice City; those characters look like shit in the trailer. And the trailer has great lights. So to me, it's just like I'm baffled at the fact that it's a surprise that that's consistent with it.